So we started off with where the biggest bottleneck is, the computational bottleneck is, and then we kind of moved our way towards where can, in any essence, where can quantum really play a role. So this quantum is actually embedded into our solution. So the biggest thing about this is that there are traditional computers who use FEA and are doing it on HPCs or just classical computing overall. Then trying to transition to quantum, yes, they can do that, and they can get incremental advancements or incremental performance increases. But the true essence of quantum advantage will not necessarily be realized if that approach is taken where you just take, replace one aspect of it, put in quantum, plug and play of take the traditional computing output quantum and then try to see where it plays a role. It's not necessarily, that will not necessarily play give you a real advantage that people have in their mind.
Right, and the other thing I noticed is, yeah, so you do use it to accelerate the FEAs or the classical analysis, but you were also using it as a tool in the design process before you even get to analysis, right? You're doing, you're trying to come up with optimized, like an airfoil route or airfoil surface. And same thing with the car part, which I got to tell you though, it looked like that car part had a few holes in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe it gets you close, and you have to fill in the gaps a little bit. My other question is, you talked about a couple of different quantum, physical quantum hardware services that you use, and you mentioned D-Wave. Can you speak to what sort of performance you're getting, like with D-Wave, as far as size of quantum registers, how much time how many shots you have to take to get you close to a usable answer and that sort of thing?
Right. Yeah, no, that's actually a very interesting question, and it kind of relates to what you mentioned earlier. So right now with the quantum systems that we have, the actual quantum computers, one of the big bottleneck is the size of them and how well they can perform it. So from the size of it, we cannot necessarily do as large simulations as our minds can imagine right now, even though we're at 128 qubits, or 122 qubits on IBM system. But a lot of the qubits actually go into actually on the error correction, or what we call the ancilla qubits and such. And so that's why the problems that I showed, like you mentioned, there are a lot of holes in that the structural part. Actually, this is essentially a 1D case. So instead of using full-on car, we use essentially rod or cylindrical elements for that. And why we did that is we actually cannot perform this big type of simulation on quantum because the qubit size isn't just there. And additionally, on top of this qubit size, the fidelity is not, or the accuracy. And then to answer your other question about how many shots is required. So with this, I believe on this car simulation, the impact simulation, we utilized, I want to say, about 30,000 variables and I think the amount of shots it required was somewhere around 500 to 700, something along those lines. And so the thing with D-Wave is, it's kind of, since D-Wave or D-Wave as in quantum annealing is essentially you're recreating the whole problem into an optimization problem. So like I mentioned, you won't, in any type of optimization problem, if it's complex enough, you won't know if you're at the most optimized solution